I unlocked my door, and there he was, sitting on my welcome mat, the one he'd given me last Father's Day that says World's OKS Dad. He looked up when he heard my keys. Yo! The kid was a wreck. Hadn't shaved, dark circles under his eyes, wearing the same band shirt he'd had on in his Instagram story from 2 days ago. When he saw me, he literally crumpled, not in a fake dramatic way, like his body physically gave out. On his knees, tears immediately streaming, saying Dad over and over. I just stood there, keys still in hand. Felt nothing, then everything, then nothing again. Dad, please. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said those things. I was drunk. The guys were pressuring me. I never meant any of it. Please just talk to me. I cut him off. I saw what you really think of me. There's nothing to talk about. Stepped around him like he was a piece of furniture. Got my mail. Walked back to my car. He followed me to the parking lot. Still crying, still begging. Got in my car. Locked the doors. Drove back to Marcus's. He called 5 more times before I even made it across town. So that brings us to now. It's been exactly 8 days, 4 hours, and 22 minutes since I saw that video. Since I realized the son I've been rebuilding a relationship with sees me as a convenient placeholder. Someone to use when he needs help but to mock behind my back. I don't know what happens next. Part of me, a small stupid part, misses him. Misses a routine. Misses believing I had my son back. I keep replaying his words from a video. Disgusting baggage, cutting him off. So casual, so cruel. 24 years of being his father. 3 years of trying to be there for him after the divorce. And that's what I'm worth. First update. Y'all remember me. The father whose son of 24 years called him disgusting on TikTok, and then had the audacity to act shocked when I disappeared? Yeah, that's still me, unfortunately. First of all, thank you for all the support on my last post. It's been exactly 17 days since I saw that video, and 9 days since Jason showed up crying on my doorstep. Let me tell you, things have gotten weird. So after I left Jason in the parking lot that morning, Tuesday 8:43 a.m. according to my car's timestamp, I drove straight back to Marcus's place in full zombie mode. The whole drive my phone kept lighting up with calls. Jason had apparently moved on to using his mother's phone to reach me, which is a special kind of desperate. When I got back to Marcus's, I just sat in his kitchen staring at the faded beer sign on his wall. I couldn't process anymore. It was like my emotions had finally shut down completely. Marcus came home from his shift around 2 p.m. and found me in the exact same position, still in my coat. He just sighed, handed me a beer from the fridge, and said something that actually made me think. He asked if I had been noticing red flags with Jason all along, but had just been filtering them out. At first, I was defensive. Jason and I had a good relationship. He called on my birthday. He came to Sunday dinners. He never complained when I talked about the divorce or my health issues. The bar is literally in hell these days for father-son relationships, and I thought Jason was clearing it with room to spare. But then Marcus started asking specific questions. Did Jason ever make comments about me before? Well, there was that time he said my khaki pants made me look old-fashioned, but in a dad way. And when I got new glasses last summer, he asked if the optometrist meant to make them that thick. And he did have a weird habit of comparing me to his friends' dads, always the ones who were younger, more successful, who didn't have divorce baggage. Did Jason support my goals? I mean, he said he was proud when I got promoted last year, but also suggested maybe I shouldn't take it because the stress might not be good for my heart. When I talked about maybe dating again someday, he always changed the subject to how complicated it would be. Did Jason have equal standards for our relationship? Thinking about it, not really. If I was 15 minutes late picking him up, I'd get a series of increasingly annoyed texts, but he could cancel our Sunday dinners last minute to hang with Chelsea, and I was supposed to be cool with it. By the time we finished our beers, I had this sinking feeling in my stomach. The TikTok wasn't some bizarre out-of-character moment. It was just the first time I'd seen what had been there all along, without the filter wanting to believe we'd fixed our relationship. That night, Jason escalated to a new level. At exactly 9:17 p.m., Marcus's doorbell rang. We both froze like we'd been caught committing a crime. Through the peephole, Jason holding the saddest-looking grocery store flowers I've ever seen. Marcus went full protective mode, opened the door just enough to block the view inside, and told him I wasn't there. I could hear Jason's voice cracking as he begged Marcus to just let him talk to me for 5 minutes. Said he hadn't slept in days, said he'd lost 7 pounds, said he'd do anything to fix this. After Marcus finally got him to leave, he found a handwritten letter Jason had slipped under the door. 8 pages front and back. I have to admit, I read it twice. It was a lot. Tear stains on the paper. Promises to spend the rest of my life making this up to you. Explanations about how he was drunk, how his friends were peer pressuring him, how he'd been stressed about work. Classic deflection bingo. But one line actually got to me. I said those horrible things because I'm insecure and afraid you think I'm a failure like Mom said during the divorce. For about 20 minutes, I actually considered calling him. That's how messed up my brain was. Like he humiliated me publicly, and I was feeling bad for him. Thankfully, Marcus's Wi-Fi chose that exact moment to crash, classic Thursday night internet outage. So we couldn't even stream anything. Instead, we ended up going through old photos on my phone, and that's when I had my first real epiphany. In literally every picture of Jason and me together from the past year, I'm looking at it with this proud dad smile, and he's either looking at his phone, or off to the side, or making some face for his friends. Not a single one where he's looking at me with any genuine warmth. How did I never notice that before? Friday morning brought a new development. My other son, David, called to tell me that Jason had shown up at his apartment at 7 a.m. asking if he knew where I was. David, being the protective brother he is, told Jason that if he came by again, they'd be having a different kind of conversation. Dramatic, but I appreciate the sentiment. By that point, I was actually starting to feel smothered by all of Jason's attempts to contact me. It wasn't touching, it was uncomfortable. So I did something I'd been avoiding. I drafted a text, simple, direct, no room for misinterpretation. I need space. Please stop contacting me, my friends, and my family. I'll reach out if I'm ready to talk. Sent it at 10:22 a.m., immediately turned my phone off for 3 hours because I couldn't handle seeing his response. When I finally checked again, there were 5 paragraphs waiting for me. The gist, he understood. He'd respect my boundaries. He'd wait forever if that's what it took. Followed immediately by 3 more texts asking when forever might end, and if we could please just meet for lunch next week. So much for respecting boundaries. The weekend was actually peaceful. Marcus's roommate was out of town visiting family, so we had the place to ourselves. We ordered in, watched old movies, and I went a full 24 hours without checking my phone. It felt like coming up for air after being underwater. Sunday night, though, things took another turn. I was scrolling through Instagram before bed. Bad habit, I know, when I saw it. Jason had posted a video, not just any video, a public apology to me, tagged me in it and everything. For minutes and 27 seconds of him sitting in his car, looking directly at the camera with red-rimmed eyes, telling everyone who saw that horrible TikTok how sorry he was, how much he regrets hurting the best father-son could ask for, and how he's learning to be a better man. The comments were a mess. Some people praising him for taking accountability. Others calling him out for making my humiliation about him again. His buddy Tyler, commenting, "Stay strong, bro," like Jason was the victim here. I couldn't sleep after that. Kept thinking about how even his apology was public. Even his supposed rock-bottom moment was carefully filmed, probably with multiple takes, posted at optimal engagement hours, 8 p.m. on a Sunday. Monday morning, I decided I needed to go back to my own house. Marcus had been amazing, but I couldn't hide at his place forever. Plus, his hot water heater had been acting up all weekend, and cold showers in February are not the vibe. As I was packing up my duffel bag, my phone pinged with a Venmo notification. Jason had sent me $300 with a note for the birthday dinner we'll never have. My birthday would have been next week, my 62nd. I sent it back immediately, then blocked him on Venmo too. The drive back to my house felt like going to a funeral. Every red light had me checking my rearview mirror, half expecting to see Jason's car pull up behind me. But my street was clear when I arrived. My neighbor, Mrs. Rogers, nodded at me in the hallway, like I hadn't been gone for over 2 weeks. My plants were all dead, R.I.P. to my supposedly impossible to kill succulents. The air smelled stale and slightly like the Chinese takeout I'd forgotten in the fridge. It felt both strange and familiar, like putting on a jacket that doesn't quite fit anymore. And then I saw them, post-it notes everywhere. On my bathroom mirror, "Dad, I miss you." On my fridge, "Remember our first fishing trip." On my TV, "Our football Sundays miss you." On my bedside table, "I can't function without knowing you're okay." I stood there in shock, slowly realizing what had happened. Jason still had the spare key I'd given him last year. He'd been in my house while I was gone. My skin instantly crawled. I checked all the closets, under bed, behind the shower curtain, half convinced he might be hiding somewhere. He wasn't, but the violation of my space felt just as creepy. I called my landlord immediately and explained the situation. He agreed to change my locks the next morning. Then I systematically went through my house, removing every single post-it note and ripping them into tiny pieces. Petty maybe, satisfying absolutely. That night was my first one back in my own bed, and I won't lie, it was weird. I kept waking up expecting to hear Jason's car in the driveway, the sound that had become so familiar over the past 3 years. My brain hadn't caught up to the reality that we were done. Tuesday morning, yesterday, I was making coffee when someone knocked on my door. My heart stopped for a second before I remembered Jason's key wouldn't work anymore. It wasn't Jason, it was Tyler. Tyler, who had been in that TikTok video laughing along while Jason called me disgusting. Tyler, who had known me since Jason was 19. Tyler, who had apparently come as Jason's ambassador. He looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot in the hallway. Started with small talk about the weather, seriously, before finally getting to the point. Jason was in a really bad place and just wanted 5 minutes to explain himself. I asked Tyler if he remembered laughing in that video. He had the decency to look ashamed, said he was drunk and just going along with the guys. Then hit me with this gem. "He didn't mean any of it, sir. You know how guys talk when they're together. I don't want a son who talks like that about his father with his friends, drunk or sober. I don't want to wonder what he says about me when I'm not around. I don't want a son who needs a public meltdown and a friendship intervention to realize he values me." I thanked Tyler for coming by, told him I hoped Jason would feel better soon, and closed the door. Last night, I went through my phone and unfollowed Jason on every platform we were still connected on. Took down the photos of us from my walls, the one from his college graduation, the one from our camping trip last summer, the one from Christmas dinner. Packed up the tool set he left at my place, and the spare phone charger he used when he came over. Put them in a box in my closet. Not ready to return them yet, but not wanting to see them either. Then I ordered myself dinner from that Thai place Jason always complained was too spicy, but that I secretly loved. Ate it while watching that documentary series Jason refused to watch because it was too depressing. Used the fancy whiskey my brother had given me for Christmas that I'd been saving for a special occasion. Around midnight, my phone lit up with a text from a number I didn't recognize. "It's Jason. Please don't block this number. I just need to know one thing. Did these past 3 years mean anything to you? Because they were everything to me." I stared at those words for a long time. 3 years. 3 years of Sunday dinners and fishing trips and football games. 3 years of rebuilding what the divorce had broken. 3 years of believing my son and I had found our way back to each other. And also 3 years of small criticisms dressed as jokes. 3 years of walking on eggshells around his moods and his girlfriend Chelsea. 3 years of making myself smaller, less embarrassing, more convenient. I didn't apply, just added the number to my block list and turned off my phone. This morning I woke up and did something I haven't done in 2.5 weeks. I made a plan for me, not a reaction to Jason, not a hiding strategy, just a normal day for myself. But as I was heading out to grab coffee, I saw something that stopped me cold. Jason's profile picture on Instagram had changed a photo of us from last summer at David's wedding, my arm around his shoulder, both of us smiling. It shouldn't matter, it shouldn't affect me at all, but it did. Second update. Yo, I wasn't planning on updating so soon, but the past week has been a lot, and I need to process. It's been exactly 32 days since I saw that video. 1 month of rebuilding my life without the son I thought I'd gotten back. And honestly, some days are better than others. The weirdest thing happened last Saturday. I was at Home Depot, my emotional support store, don't judge, picking up some new tools because I finally decided to get rid of the old ones Jason always said were outdated. I was debating between a cordless drill set and a corded one when I noticed a man staring at me from the end of the aisle. At first, I thought maybe I had something on my face or my fly was down. Wouldn't be the first time. But then he walked over looking super uncomfortable and asked if I was the dad from Jason's TikTok. My stomach instantly knotted up. It's one thing to be humiliated online. It's another to be recognized by strangers at Home Depot on a random Saturday while wearing yesterday's shirt and no jacket. Before I could even respond, he launched into this awkward apology, saying he'd been one of the people who commented something mean on the original video, but felt terrible after seeing Jason's public apology and realized how wrong cyberbullying is. His exact words. I just stood there clutching my cordless drill. Decision made by panic apparently, while this stranger had his character development moment in the power tools section. When he finally stopped talking, I managed to say, "Thanks. It's fine." Good talk and speed walk to check out. Sat in my truck for 20 minutes afterward with the heat blasting, even though it was only 62 degrees outside. That's when it hit me. I'm not just Robert anymore to some people. I'm the dad from the TikTok. My humiliation has become my identifier. And that realization made me angry in a way I hadn't felt before. Not sad angry like I'd been for weeks. Pure energizing get things done angry. Sunday morning I woke up at 6:13 a.m. Couldn't sleep and made a list in my notes app. Joined that woodworking class at the community center I've been putting off. Finally sign up for that online investing course. Redecorate my living room. No more keeping it neutral for when Jason visits. Call that woman from church who asked me to coffee. By 11 a.m., I'd already crossed off number 1. Signed up for the woodworking class starting next month. Post about it on Facebook when I got home. Just me with a confirmation email and the caption "New month, new projects." Within an hour it had 37 likes, including from Tyler and 2 of Jason's other friends. Petty satisfaction maybe, but I'll take the small wins. Monday brought item number 2 on my list. Signed up for the investing course I'd been considering for ages. Jason always said it was a waste of money, since I was close to retirement anyway. Took me 43 minutes to fill out the application, and about 3 seconds to hit submit before I could overthink it. Had a mini panic attack immediately after, wondering if I was making a huge mistake. Called David, who talked me down in his usual way. Half encouragement, half "I don't understand why you're complicating your life, but I support you anyway." Tuesday, I finally tackled item number 3 and started rearranging my living room. Got rid of the ugly brown couch Jason said looked distinguished. Bought a new recliner in navy blue that I'd always wanted. Wednesday was when things got intense. I was at the grocery store when my phone started blowing up with texts from Marcus. "Call me now. Jason is on Instagram Live. He's talking about you. It's bad." I abandoned my car in the middle of the cereal aisle. Sorry, underpaid grocery store workers. And went to my truck to watch the train wreck. Sure enough, there was Jason. Clearly drunk at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, red face and slurring. Talking directly to the camera about how he'd lost his father and didn't know how to go on. The comments were rolling in fast. Mostly people telling him to get help or turn off the live. But he just kept going, reading some comments aloud and ignoring others. Then he said something that made my blood freeze. "I know you're watching this, Dad. I'm coming over tonight. We need to talk this out. I'm not taking no for an answer anymore." I immediately called Marcus in full panic mode. He offered to come stay with me, but I ended up calling David instead. He's closer to my house, and frankly more intimidating if Jason actually showed up. David arrived at 5:30 p.m. with his wife Sarah and enough overnight stuff for a week. Told me not to argue. They were staying until this kid gets the message. Made himself at home on my new recliner. Connected his gaming console to my TV. And proceeded to act like this was all totally normal. By 8 p.m., I'd almost convinced myself Jason's threat was just drunk talk. By 9 p.m., I was starting to relax. By 9:47 p.m., the doorbell rang. David answered while Sarah and I stood back. I could hear Jason's voice, slurred and emotional, demanding to see me. David's responses were low and calm. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was clear. After about 5 minutes, I heard my door close. David came back looking annoyed but calm, said Jason had finally left after David convinced him this wasn't a good time. Understatement of the year. Also mentioned that Jason looked rough and smelled like he'd bathed in Jack Daniels. I slept terribly that night, jumping at every sound outside my window. Kept thinking about how different things were just 5 weeks ago when I still believed Jason wanted me in his life, when I still thought I knew my son. Thursday morning, I woke up to a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Jason's mother. I'm worried about him and don't know what to do. He won't eat, barely sleeps. Lost his job yesterday for showing up drunk. I know you don't owe him anything, but please call me. Talk about emotional manipulation. She'd always done this. Treated Jason like he couldn't possibly handle consequences. Swooping in to fix everything. One of many red flags I'd ignored during our marriage. I showed the text to David, who advised ignoring it, but something about it bothered me all day. Not guilt exactly, but a nagging feeling that the situation was spiraling beyond what I'd intended. Around 3 p.m. I decided to text her back. I'm sorry Jason is struggling, but I'm not responsible for his choices or his healing. Please encourage him to get professional help. She responded immediately. He made a mistake. Everyone deserves forgiveness. He's your son. I didn't reply. Some mistakes change how you see a person forever, even your own child. That evening, something unexpected happened. I was scrolling through TikTok, glutton for punishment I know, when I saw a video from someone I didn't follow. It was one of those storytime TikToks, and the caption made my heart stop. When your friend humiliates his dad on TikTok, and you finally call him out for being toxic. It was Franklin, one of Jason's longtime friends, the guy who was literally in the original video laughing along. In the video, Franklin explained how he'd been complicit in Jason's toxic behavior for years, not just toward me, but toward others too. How the friend group had a pattern of encouraging Jason's worst impulses. How the TikTok incident had been a wake-up call for him personally. He ended with, "Sir, if you see this, I'm sorry. We all failed you. And Jason, man, get help. This isn't about winning your dad back. This is about becoming someone who would never hurt him in the first place." I watched it 7 times. Sent it to Marcus, who responded with "holy shit" and nothing else for a full 10 minutes. Then Franklin met me on Instagram. "Hey, sir. Hope that didn't make things worse. Just couldn't stay silent anymore. No pressure to respond." I sat with that for a while. Appreciated that he didn't expect a response. Finally wrote back, "Thanks for speaking up. Better late than never." We ended up having a surprisingly honest conversation. He told me Jason had been spiraling hard since I left, drinking daily, getting into fights, alienating friends. Said the friend group was divided between those enabling him and those trying to get him help. Franklin also confirmed something I'd suspected. This wasn't the first time Jason had spoken about me that way, just the first time it was recorded. That hit different, knowing it wasn't a one-time drunk mistake, but a pattern, a true reflection of how he saw me when I wasn't around. Friday, yesterday, marked exactly 1 month since I walked away. I decided to celebrate my Independence Day by tackling the final item on my list, calling that woman from church. Not because I'm ready to date, God knows, but because I wanted to remind myself that Jason isn't the only person who might want me in their lives, that there's a whole world of people who might appreciate me without secretly tearing me down. Setting up the coffee date felt weirdly vulnerable, choosing what to wear, wondering if I'd have anything interesting to say. Did she think I was too old or too damaged from the divorce? Like stretching muscles I'd forgotten I had. I had just confirmed the coffee date when my phone rang, another unknown number. I almost declined it automatically, assuming it was Jason with yet another burner phone. But something made me answer. It wasn't Jason, it was his friend Tyler. Tyler sounded weird nervous, talking too fast. Said he needed to tell me something important. Something about the original TikTok. Something that might change how I saw everything. I almost hung up, almost told him I was done with all of it. Done with Jason. Done with his friends and their drama. But then Tyler said, "The TikTok wasn't spontaneous, sir. Jason planned it, and I can prove it." I'm meeting Tyler today at 2 p.m. at the Starbucks near my house. David insisted on coming with me and sitting at a nearby table just in case. I have no idea what Tyler wants to tell me. My stomach's in knots, and I've changed my shirt 3 times already. Edit, just about to leave for Starbucks. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To answer the most common questions, no, I haven't unblocked Jason. And don't plan to. Yes, David is bringing his pepper spray, just in case this is somehow a setup. And no, I don't want Jason back in my life. I just want to understand what the hell happened. Last update. Y'all, I've rewritten this post 4 times now because I still can't believe everything that happened. First, thank you to everyone who sent supportive messages after my cliffhanger last update. Sorry for leaving you hanging, but I genuinely needed time to process what Tyler showed me. Let's back up to Saturday at 2:03 p.m. I walked into Starbucks with my stomach in knots. Spotted Tyler in the corner booth nervously shredding a napkin. David took his position at a table near the door, looking very obvious despite his attempt at casual with his newspaper. Tyler looked rough, not Jason-level disaster, but definitely stressed. Dark circles under his eyes, hair unwashed, wearing the same shirt I'd seen him in at least 3 times on Instagram recently. The first 5 minutes were painfully awkward. He apologized about 17 different ways for his part in the TikTok situation. I just sipped my black coffee and waited for him to get to the point. Finally, he pulled out his phone. Before I show you this, you need to know I didn't find it until yesterday. I was going through some old group chats trying to find a pizza place we ordered from once, and I saw this thread that Jason started about a month before. You know, he slid his phone across the table. It was open to a WhatsApp group chat titled The Boys, Jason, Tyler, Franklin, and 2 other guys. The messages were from 5 weeks before the TikTok incident. Jason, need your help with something, boys. Franklin, what's up, man? Jason, trying to figure out how to get my dad to back off. Tyler, whoa, for real. Thought you guys were doing better. Jason, yeah, that's the problem. He's getting too clingy. Plus, Chelsea's been complaining that I spend too much time with him. I felt my face getting hot as I scrolled. Jason went on to explain that he'd been getting serious with Chelsea for almost 3 months, but he was worried about how I'd react if he started canceling our Sunday dinners, and he can get emotional since the divorce. As I kept reading, it got worse. Jason was literally asking his friend for advice on how to make me back off, so he could look like the good guy to Chelsea. Their suggestions range from gradually becoming more distant to starting small arguments over nothing to, and this is what made me nearly drop the phone. Just be a dick on social media so he sees it and backs off. The last message in the thread was from Jason. TikTok might be the move. He never checks it anyway. I looked up at Tyler, who couldn't meet my eyes. Why show me this now? I asked. He explained that after our last conversation, he'd been feeling increasingly guilty about his part in everything. Said he'd assumed the TikTok was just drunk stupidity, not a calculated move. Didn't know about Chelsea's complaints until he found these messages. Jason's been lying to everyone, Tyler said, telling us how heartbroken he is, how he made the biggest mistake of his life. Meanwhile, he's still seeing Chelsea. I saw them together at Olive Garden yesterday. It was like the final puzzle piece clicking into place. The TikTok wasn't a drunken mistake. It was deliberate. Just a plan that backfired when I disappeared instead of confronting him. I sat there for a moment trying to process the fact that not only had Jason intentionally humiliated me online, but he'd done it to push me away so he could prioritize his girlfriend and appear independent to her. And now he was playing the devastated son role to save face with everyone. I thanked Tyler for showing me the truth, then walked out of Starbucks with David trailing behind, asking 70 questions I wasn't ready to answer. That night, I made a decision. After 37 days of silence, I was going to talk to Jason on my terms. Not to reconcile. That ship had sailed, hit an iceberg, and sunk to the bottom of the ocean. But to let him know that I knew everything. Sunday morning at exactly 10 a.m., I texted Jason from my real number. We need to talk today, 2 p.m., Java Hut on Main Street. Don't be late. He responded within 12 seconds. I'll be there. Thank you, Dad. I love you. Spoiler alert, he does not in fact love me. I spent the next 3 hours oscillating between absolute certainty and complete panic. Changed my shirt 4 times. Practiced what I wanted to say in the mirror, like I was preparing for a board meeting. Called Marcus twice to talk me off the ledge. Arrived at Java Hut 20 minutes early to secure the corner table with my back to the wall. Tactical positioning. Ordered a coffee I had zero intention of actually drinking. Jason walked in at 1:58 p.m., scanning the cafe until he spotted me. He looked better than I expected, showered, shaved, wearing the button-down I'd given him for Christmas. For a split second, my heart did that familiar dad thing it always did when I saw him. Then I remembered the WhatsApp messages. He reached for a hug, which I avoided by gesturing to the chair across from me. His face fell, but he sat down, launched immediately into what sounded like a rehearsed speech about how sorry he was, how much he missed me, how the past month had been the worst of his life. I let him talk for exactly 2 minutes. Then I placed my phone screen up between us, opened to the screenshots Tyler had sent me to the group chat. "So who's Chelsea?" I asked. The look on his face, it was like watching someone get hit with a stun gun. His mouth open and closed like a fish gasping for air. Tyler shouldn't have. Just tell me the truth, Jason, for once. The next 20 minutes were illuminating. Once he realized he was caught, the apology stopped and excuses started. Chelsea was just a friend at first. Sure she was. He'd been confused about our relationship for months. He thought 3 years was too long to be so dependent on a parent in your 20s. The TikTok was stupid, but he never thought I'd see it. "I panicked when you disappeared," he admitted. "I realized I'd made a huge mistake. Chelsea wasn't worth losing you over." That's when it clicked. He wasn't devastated about hurting me. He was devastated about looking like the bad guy, about losing control of the narrative, about everyone knowing what he'd done. I took a sip of my cold coffee and said the words I'd been practicing all morning. "I'm not here to reconcile, Jason. I'm here to tell you that I know everything and I'm done. Don't contact me, my friends, or my family again. We're done." His eyes welled up with tears that I'm now 99% sure were performative. "But I love you," he said. "We can fix this. I'll do anything. If you love me, you wouldn't have spent weeks planning how to humiliate me so you could prioritize your girlfriend." I stood up, gathering my wallet and keys. That's when he played his final card, one I wasn't expecting. "I broke my apartment lease." He blurted out, "I've been staying with Mom. I thought I don't know, maybe I could stay with you for a while like we talked about." For a brief, insane moment, I felt guilty, like I was the one ruining his life. Then I remembered the cold calculation of those messages, planning exactly how to push me away in the most hurtful way possible. "You should call Chelsea," I said. "I'm sure she has room at her place." And then I walked out, no dramatic exit, no scene, just done. He texted 17 times the next 2 hours, switching from apologetic to angry to desperate and back again. I didn't reply to any of them, just took screenshots and sent them to Marcus with the caption, "The audacity continues." Around noon, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. My first thought was, here we go again, but it wasn't Jason, it was Chelsea. "Hi, Mr. Patterson. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. Jason's been telling me one story and apparently telling you another." We met for coffee that afternoon. I consumed enough caffeine this week to power a small city. Turns out Chelsea had no idea I'd been such a presence in Jason's life until 2 weeks ago when she saw his public apology TikTok. He told her his dad was distant, had been for years, and was dealing with divorce guilt that made him overbearing. Sound familiar? The craziest part, she's actually nice. We ended up talking for 3 hours, comparing notes on Jason's lies. She showed me texts where he was complaining about me to her the same day. He was leaving sobbing voicemails on my phone. By the end of our conversation, we'd exchanged numbers, and she'd apologized profusely for being part of the situation. She broke up with him right there via text while we sat together. Trust issue solidarity, I guess. That night, I finally did something I'd been putting off. I unblocked Jason on Instagram, just temporarily, and went to his profile. His story from 3 hours earlier was a black screen with some sad song playing. So on brand, and the text, sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. His profile picture was still us from last summer. His most recent post, a throwback photo of us from 2 years ago with the caption, "I'd give anything to go back." Meanwhile, Chelsea had sent me screenshots of him texting her that same day asking if she'd reconsider. I've never felt more certain of a decision in my life. Yesterday marked exactly 40 days since I discovered the TikTok. 6 weeks of pain, anger, confusion, and finally clarity. I officially blocked Jason on every platform. Changed my number this morning. Told my landlord under no circumstances should he ever be allowed in the building. And then I did something just for me. Remember that investing course I applied for? I got accepted yesterday. Classes start next month. Paid the deposit with money I'd been saving for that fishing trip Jason and I were supposed to take. Last night, Marcus, David, and a few other friends came over for an impromptu goodbye Jason party. We ordered pizza, drank cheap beer, and took turns reading the increasingly desperate texts he'd sent over the past weeks. Toxic, I know, but also weirdly cathartic. At one point, David asked if I was sad about losing those 3 years with Jason. And the thing is, I'm not. Those years weren't a waste. They were a lesson about boundaries I'll never ignore again, about my own resilience, about the kind of relationship I actually deserve with my son, if he ever grows up enough to have one. This morning, I woke up to a notification that Jason had tagged me in a new Instagram post. My finger hovered over the view button for about 3 seconds before I realized I don't care what it says. His words have no power over me anymore. Instead, I deleted the notification, made my coffee, and sat on my porch watching the sunrise. So I guess this is officially the end of the saga. Edit. People are asking if I'm worried Jason will see this post. Honestly, part of me hopes he does. Let him read how thoroughly he failed at controlling this narrative. Let him see that his disgusting father is thriving without him. And to any other parents out there dealing with your own ungrateful adult children, you deserve better, and better exists, trust me. Before I end this, I want to ask you something. If my story resonated with you, take a moment to support the channel, share where you're watching from, and help stories like mine reach people who might need the reminder that choosing yourself isn't cruel. Sometimes, it's the bravest thing you'll ever do.